Hey friend, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast for women who want to learn how to live an intentional life or build their creative business. I'll be giving you my very best business tips, bringing you interesting guests, giving you a daily dose of Jesus, and I'm committed to always keeping it real. Grab a cup of coffee and let's dive in. I'm so honored that you're here. Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This is podcast episode 136, where I have my lovely Mr. Magic, also known as Allwood, also known as my husband, Jason, the lovely, the handsome, the fantastic. Mr. Allwood, you know, it's funny because the last time you and I did a podcast episode together, that had more downloads than like any other podcast episode I'd done, which just so you know, makes me feel a little bit like, really? They just want to hear from you?
People like me.
You're making friends and influencing people, baby.
Like that Saturday Night Live, I should be saying that people really like me.
People really like you.
Maybe not.
Thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
And just so you know,
studio.
This part right here will be on the YouTubes, so keep it clean, Allwood. Like I was like, "Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go and get this recorded?" And he took off his shirt. I'm not even joking. So, but this is podcast episode 136. We're talking today to what?
I was going to say, lucky I didn't take off my pants.
No, you can. PG, Allwood. PG.
I'm here for
This is why we have no TV show. We're talking about our family today. We're talking about the fact that we just hit the year mark with little Ariana being in our family. Yeah.
1 year.
1 year. By the time this podcast episode airs, it'll be just a little past a year. So that's what we're going to talk about. Because it's, you know, the whole year has come with a lot of really big feelings. And so we're just going to chat about that. So first, however, I'm going to talk real quick to somebody named Marilee Rose, who owns a business called Rosebud Originals. So Marilee says she just finished listening to podcast episode 113 and had a huge aha moment when I explained who her audience is. Why didn't I know this before? She said, I'm a creative and so is my audience. My girls have checked out all summer with the kiddos. It's been so frustrating. I think what she's saying is her business kind of took a dip during the summer months. And now she says she's better prepared for October. Thank you so much for clear advice. So if you're someone who's needing to really get an understanding of who your audience is and the trends in terms of, you know, when your business goes up and goes down, go listen to podcast episode 113 and go also give Rosebud Originals some love. She was sweet enough to go leave a review on the podcast. I know that takes time and effort and energy, and I don't take it lightly, which is why I always come on and thank one of you who's left a review. So Marilee of Rosebud Originals, I just pray God's blessing and hand upon you and your family and your business, and ask him to profit you and give you more influence in Jesus' name. So, all right, we're going to talk about little Ari today, honey. And, you know, these episodes, hi, Noah. Well, now we've got, hey, Noah, would you like to be in on a podcast episode? No, you're not interrupting, baby. You're good. You sure you don't want to come in?
I'll say hi.
Okay, he's coming to say hello. Hang on. This is our 17-year-old Noah.
What's up?
Hi, baby. How are you?
Hello.
And we're getting ready to talk about the last year with having a new little brother or sister in the house. You sure you don't want to stay?
Yeah.
Not a brother or sister, just a sister.
Yeah, it's not a brother or sister. I guess she is just a sister.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Could be a...
love you too, Noah. All right, so Jace, people always ask us what her story is, and you probably don't see this because you're not on social media.
Right.
But people are constantly asking me like, hey, I don't even know what's going on. Why do you have a little girl? And so what I always tell them is that Ari is my third cousin. So she is my cousin's granddaughter, which we're pretty sure makes her my third cousin, right?
There's always that second removed.
I know. I
don't understand.
I don't even understand all the removed.
I don't even want to understand it.
So I'm pretty sure Ari and our 3 biological kids are actually fourth cousins.
Probably.
It's just easiest to say she's my cousin's granddaughter. So we knew.
You know what's easier that to say?
She's just our daughter now.
She's our daughter.
Yeah, that is. But they always want to know how she joined our family. And we had seen Ari a time or two when she was a baby because my parents knew her mom. And even though we're related to Ari's dad. And so we had seen her a time or two. So the story is basically this. And we feel, I think you and I are in agreement that there's only so much of her story we're willing to share. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the story is...
with the general public.
Yes. About in August of last year, so a little over a year ago, Ari's 2 great-grandmothers on both her father's side and her mother's side loved her dearly. and they got together. Ari was being raised by one of her great-grandmothers, and to try to come up with a better plan than that, because a great-grandmother, has needs, and it's hard, I think, to probably raise a very spirited, very big personality 4-year-old. And so, we're exhausted. We're in our 40s. I can't imagine being almost 70 and having raised her. So they got together and we have got to figure out a plan for this little girl. And so we got a phone call last August. And Ari's great-grandmother was like, hey, would you guys be interested in raising her? To which we said,
well, I think at first it was just more, would you like to have a play date? And we said,
we'll do a play date.
We'll just do a play date, yeah.
And so we had 2 play dates.
Yeah. And then we took custody of her. She came live with us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're skipping about 500 steps in there. So we had 2 play dates.
Okay.
And then that's a big exhale, Allwood. And then we kind of came to the agreement that because she had such a big personality and we were feeling old and our kids were in high school and we were getting ready to have a senior, that we were just going to say, we're probably not great to be parents, but how about we take her to preschool?
Yeah. What if?
Yeah.
And we just paid for that financially to help out everybody in the family. Yeah,
because when looking at what did we have available for resources, we knew that we had reached a point where we could take on that expense. And so now when I look back, I kind of feel like we were a-holes.
I'm sure it came across that way. Probably just for you.
It's like,
not for
hey,
me.
We don't want another child, but we'll just pay for it. That probably seemed jerkish. But I think we were terrified. Were you terrified? I was scared crapless.
Well, we hadn't even, at that point in time, we were still we were still kind of in the mode of getting through life. And just the home remodel and business and kind of coming to, I had just been home for just a short period of time. And so we were just kind of.
We literally had 10 days at home on the deck in the morning, drinking coffee.
Right. And I'm sure everybody thinks we're a-holes for that too. But nonetheless, we just really, we were
enjoying our time.
We hadn't even get to really spend time with each other yet because it had been summertime. And so we had kids and travel and everything else. And so we were just kind of melting into our own little.
Yeah. We were taking a breather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we said, how about we, instead of us raising Ari, which by the way, she has 2 parents that love her. They're young. They're here in town, but they love her. And so we were like, we can't just, she has parents. We can't just take her and raise her. And so we said, how about we do the preschool thing? And then you and I got together. We're like, what if we made it really fun for her? We'd had 2 play dates and we knew that she hadn't been exposed to a ton in terms of, play dates with other kids. And
right. I don't think that was high on their priority list of things to do. I think they were, like you said, you're being raised by a grandmother. I think she'd lived in a couple different places at that point in time. So I think there was some stuff. She wanted to be a kid. Yeah, she wanted to be a kid. So we thought, what if we pick her up the night before preschool starts? We take her to dinner. We take her to Target, where all good things are possible. And we buy her a cute little backpack and a new outfit. Right. Yeah. And so we orchestrated that with the great grandmother. She said that would be great. And then one of us, who was it? Whose fault is this? I don't know.
One of us was like, well, what if we just have her spend the night?
Yeah.
That would be easier on us because we live right up the street from the preschool instead of having to drive, over to where great grandmother lives. So what if we go have the fun evening and we let her spend the night? We'll take her to preschool in the morning. We'll take her home after preschool. And then it was where she's going to sleep, and we had to pull out a mattress and all that good stuff. So yeah, we made it. We made it happen. We made it happen. So we wanted her to sleep close to us. Mm-hmm. And so, the room that we've been really guarded with some of these details, but I think this is fine to share. The room that we have a bonus room off of our bedroom that we had turned into your shoe closet. And it's got a chandelier in it. It's got a built-in dresser. It has a window. It has a full-length mirror. When I say it's a shoe closet, it has a shower, has a bathroom. It doesn't have a shower and a bathroom, but it's right off of our bedroom, and it's basically a really small bedroom. And we thought, well, we want her to feel like she's close to us. We don't know this little girl. We've only spent two times with her ever for a couple hours. So let her put us just really close to our bedroom. We also didn't want to really, I hate to say, but we didn't want to really just put her in with Ava or put her in with, make the boys move rooms and stuff like that. Because it was just for one night. It was going to be for one night. So we were like, we'll just keep her close to us, and that way it'll be safe. Because we had no idea what her nighttime routine would be like. Yep. That first night was absolute hell. Do you remember? It was 2.5 hours of her crying and screaming and carrying on. And when I look back now, I feel so sad about that because we were complete strangers to her.
Yeah, she had no idea. She didn't want to trust us. She didn't have to trust us. She didn't know us.
Brave little girl that your great-grandmother's saying, go with these complete strangers and they're going to take you to a school the next day. And literally when she came to live with us, she still had a pacifier at 4 years old. And so, there was just, it was hard. It was a really hard night. So she went to preschool. And how did we even... Basically, she never went home. Well, that's what ended up happening. That's how she came to live with us. It ended up happening.
And remember the conversation we had was we didn't want to, we had a conversation before that, and we didn't really want to have her go back to where she was living because at preschool, they were going to implement rules and, things to do and stuff like that.
Structure.
And then structure, yes. And then it was going to be not necessarily harder, but it would have been harder because in the morning, we're going to have to go pick her up. We're going to have to, and then take her to preschool, then pick her up from preschool and take her back home. And so it was just easier.
Let's just have her stay one more night.
Let's just move her in.
Yeah. And that's 360 some days ago. So that is the story for those of you who are like, how did she even come to join your family? That is the story. We, shortly thereafter, after she came to live with us, we met with both her mother and her dad, who, like I said, both love her. Neither of them are in a position to raise her, however. And they both gave us legal guardian consent to raise Ari until, perhaps one of their situations were to change. At this point, her father, who we are related to, has given us his full blessing, both legally and verbally, to adopt her. And so we are currently pursuing
Adoption.
Is that okay to say? I think that's okay to say. Yeah. And so, with that comes stuff. It comes paperwork. It comes meetings. There's going to be court stuff and all of attorneys and fees and all of the things. But what we know to be true is that it's worth it. It's worth it. She's worth it. So that is how she came to live with us. So here's some questions that the team had for you. And I know I'm talking in code. In other words, it has been so hard, but it's been so right.
It has not been an easy process.
No.
For anybody who's done it, they know. And anybody from the outside looking in who just says, you're such a blessing to her. And then we say stuff like, oh, she's a blessing to us. But then there's times when
I'm thinking, what have we done?
When she doesn't like us and we don't like her and then we don't like each other. And then my wife and I don't like each other and then our kids don't like us. And there are literally 6 very large personalities under one roof.
Yep.
And when I say large personalities, I mean
opinionated,
passionate.
Yep.
Some louder than others, some outwardly, what do we say? Outwardly.
Well, because I'm a high S on the DISC personality profile, you say that I'm outwardly compliant, but I'm inwardly defiant.
Yeah. So she's a rebel. Then we have, and then we have 3 biologicals that have their own personalities and they were set in their ways
and have been very displaced.
And they have been displaced. And then we have another very large personality with the 4th one coming in. So it's a whole. It's been a motley crew of emotions and ups and downs and turmoil and the only things that I show though on social media are the good points. Sure. I show the family dinners. I don't show the tantrums. I don't show the she's falling out on the floor having a fit. And the thing is, I don't blame Ari for that. I mean, when I think about what she's been through, what she's seen, what she's experienced, I'd be pissed too. And you know what I mean? And so she's a kid. And so she's only dealing with her emotions in only the ways that she knows how. And so the team wanted us to talk about a couple of points here. So I want to ask you and then I can answer too, but they're wanting to know how she's changed or how things are going now versus a year ago. Well, how are they going now? Well, now things are structured. Mm-hmm. We just started school, so she was in preschool, which was great, and the teachers did amazing.
Yeah, she loved them.
She loved all of her teachers. Kindergarten in the past 3 weeks has been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
It's an all-day program where preschool was too, but it's a lot more learning. I think there are more rules, there are more regulations, there are more
expectations.
Yeah. and Ari's young. Ari's a young kindergartner, but emotionally, she's prepared for it. We've had multiple conversations with counselors and with school faculty and everything else. She's ready for it. It's just it's another hard adjustment for her to go through and for us to go through.
Yeah.
But we're getting through it. We got a report yesterday that she had a
spectacular day yesterday. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's coming off the heels of many, many not spectacular days in a row. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah. So she's
She's
better.
made so much progress.
As opposed to the beginning. The beginning, it was if you told her no to something, it was crying. If you wanted to, if she wanted to experience something new, it was no.
Yeah.
No. Finger shaking with the one finger up. No. It was all of those things. And now it is, now it's kind of a joke. This morning we had, for whatever reason, we've never introduced her to peanut butter toast with bananas on it.
Banana on it. Elvis Presley's favorite. Yeah.
She tried this morning. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Just said, hey, this is, we like this. Would you like to try it? And
but it's taken a year of
for her to build a trust for
consistency and day after day. And there's only been one night in the last year that she has not slept under our roof when we let her go stay, with her great grandmother. That's my aunt. And so, from a practical level, when I look at her, I'm like, okay, so what has transpired in the last year? Like she came with a pacifier. So we're past that. We're past the nightmares. We're past the tantrums at bedtime for the most part. She's not waking up in the middle of the night.
She is 5 now, so she does like to get up and have to go to the bathroom. I need a drink of water.
Yes.
Can you get my blanket?
Yeah, that's all. And that's all normal. But people see like the change in her in terms of her fear of water on social media. Because last year at this time, we would just try to hold her and walk into our pool. We have a pool in the backyard. And when I tell you she would scream bloody murder, it was concerning how terrified she was of water. She was scared to take a bath, to take a shower. She was
not
scared
even take a bath, but to take a lukewarm bath was
it was terrifying and
to her.
Screaming. And she was terrified to go to the bathroom. And some of those things I think are the result of trauma. Other things I just think are the result of her trying to cope and her trying to control whatever she could in her little world because all of her world had been out of her control up until that point.
If all of a sudden you have a 6-foot person standing over top of you who has some facial hair and no hair on his head and brush your teeth and go to the bathroom and, everything else.
Yeah.
I might act the exact same way, if not worse.
Yeah.
On certain days.
Yeah.
But
and that's another practical thing that's changed. She has had 5 teeth pulled, 7 teeth, I think, were filled. We had a lot of not cosmetic surgery, but oral surgery done on her this spring. And she handled that like a champ. And so she's doing when I look back to a year ago right now, I'm like, I feel like we were all in a fog, like everybody in the house, because the truth is Ari was, definitely thrown into shock, new family, new house. These new people have, a house that has a lot of levels, a lot of rooms, a dog. She never had a pet before. There's a swimming pool in the backyard, which comes with rules. And now she lives on a cul-de-sac where there's kids. And all of that was brand new to her. And then all of our bio kids they were shock also. We're in shock also. That's the truth. Yep. And so, we did some counseling this year. We did some counseling with you and I and Ari. We also did some counseling with Ava. You and I are huge proponents of counseling. Tell him.
Oof.
He might go kicking and screaming, but he goes.
Yeah.
Counseling is so good.
When you get a call from your pastor and he says, hey, we'd like to do a counseling session with you because your wife called. Oh, that happened. Do you remember that? One time.
Just once.
And I said, no. Pastor called Jennifer and said, he'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be there. So we've had several people say, because there's different people that follow us on Facebook and Instagram, honey, and they're considering helping with their sister's kids, or they've been asked to foster, or they're thinking of bringing a kiddo into their home, and they've not done this before, and they're not sure.
We didn't
and I want to make sure that we're not scaring people, because even though this is the hardest thing we've ever done, it's also the rightest thing that we've ever done.
Yeah, if you think it's easy, it's not. Mm-hmm. But if you think that's not gratifying in some way, shape, or form, you're out of your mind too. Yeah. And it is, if it was easy, like they say, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
If everybody could run a marathon and it was easy, everybody would do it, right? Yeah. Or a triathlon or whatever, insert hard thing here, climb Everest, right?
Yeah. It's holy work. I believe it's holy work, and holy work is hard.
It is one of the hardest things that we have been through as a married couple, that our family's been through.
For sure.
And we've had some highs and we've had some lows in the past 22 years.
Well, it's hard enough to be in 100% agreement on how to raise our biological children.
Yeah,
but then when you throw a kiddo in the mix who you can't raise the same way that you raised your bio kids, we can't treat her in the same way. We can't.
No, I can't.
Because she processes everything different. And a lot of times her behavior is coming from a place of pain and a place of trauma. And so it's not like, when the other kids used to talk back, it'd be, time out. It would be go to your room. It would be, different things. And it can't always be exactly the same with a child whose background is different and her behaviors are coming from a different place. It's not one of defiance.
No, and when you raise them from utero to everything else, they're used to you. They're used to the way you act. They're used to the roughhousing. You're used to, dad teasing them or, wrestling with them and stuff like that. Then like the other morning, I was just giving Ari a hug. And, she was, no, she just didn't.
All of a sudden she was, she wanted.
She didn't want to have, it was on her terms, she'll give you a hug. On your terms, maybe.
Yeah.
maybe not. But if I walked into the other kids, because they were, because we raised them, that was just, give dad a hug. But, it's just, it's a process.
Yes. So what do you wish that you'd known a year ago that we know now? And I can go first if you want me to.
Okay, sure.
I wish that we knew a year ago that we were going to need to ask for help earlier. Help from friends, help from family, to get a break. Because otherwise it's every day. And I wish that we had known that earlier, that it would be okay to ask for help and that we should ask for help. And I think we were thinking like what we did with our bio kids, like, well, we didn't have a ton of babysitters for the bio kids, or, you know what I mean? Like we didn't do a ton of date nights, but it has caused a lot of stress in the marriage. And I wish that earlier on we had asked for more help from our friends and family.
I would say that if you're planning on taking a child in, that you need to have somebody who's there to help you out, for sure. We did not. And when I say we were in lockdown mode for the first 3 to 4 months, it was.
You're going to trigger me. I'm going to start crying like in a second. Yeah, we couldn't. We couldn't do a whole lot.
It was lockdown. It was. Our world was shaking, but so was hers. We didn't have. Is
your voice breaking?
Maybe a little bit.
Allwood, if you cry, it is on. I will be a sobbing mess.
You can't assume that because you take a child in, that all of your family around you will treat them or act the same way they did about your biological children if you have biological children, because they won't. They won't. They'll accept, but they won't ask you if they can watch it overnight, or they won't. That's not going to happen. It's not the same. It should be the same, but it's not the same birthday. It's not the same Christmas. It's not the same anything. The only one that treats her the same inclusion is your immediate family. You hope anyways. But as for outside family, you're not going to get unless you have a conversation with them prior to, you're not going to get the same love that they give to your other kids, that they give to the one who you're bringing in.
We disagree on that slightly. But this is your opinion. And so, I'm glad you gave it. And so, So I wish that we had known to ask for help. And I think what people don't understand is when you have a kiddo that comes from hard places, like everything has to change. Like we've had to figure out through trial and error, like it's basically like you get a house guest and then they never leave. And oh, by the way, sometimes this house guest like rubs you completely wrong, totally takes advantage of you. You know what I mean? Like she was 4, but we had to change everything from like bedtime. Like she has to be in bed. Tell them that I'm telling the truth. Mm-hmm. At 8:00 every night, she has to. If we try to go to 9 or 10:30, she still wakes up at the exact same time the next day, but she's a bear. So that means every night we got to be home at 8:00. Well, how is that possible on a Friday night when our senior is a football player? We can't be home on a Friday night by 8:00. So we finally got smart in the last couple of weeks. I mean, high five to us, Allwood. And, we were feeling like we got to include her in everything, which we want to. Take her to every football game. Well, every football game results in her getting to bed at 10 p.m., which results in her being a bear the next day, which means everybody pays for it. So we've gotten a babysitter the last couple of Friday nights so that we could enjoy our son at the game. Because one of the hard balances that I wish that I had known a year ago too is that we can't allow our other 3 kids to fall through the cracks while we're trying to help heal this one. And it would be very easy for us to take our eyes off the other 3 because this one is so all-consuming. So it's this really delicate balance of making sure they still feel cared for and tended to and a priority as well. Am I right?
Yeah.
And I can see how families can get into big trouble in terms of just when you bring in somebody who's got a lot of needs that are big. It would be so easy for us just to not really know what the other 3 are doing. They're pretty much self-sufficient at this point. Almost the second one's almost driving. It would be so easy for us just to be like, you guys are kind of good because she needs us and, kind of take our eyes off them. So that's been a really delicate balance also that I don't think we've probably done perfectly at all, in particular with Ava.
No, in particular with Ava. But, well, I think all of them in general. However, we have good kids. And so we do, there is a lot of trust that goes in with it and stuff like that also. So it's not like they're out running the streets or we don't know where they're at at any given time. So you make it sound like
No, but I said that we could have easily done that.
Oh, we could have.
Yeah, that's what I said. We could have easily done that. And so, but in terms of with Ava, since she was the only girl and she was the baby, she got displaced the most in terms of her position in the family.
Yeah. And
so that's led itself to other things for example, I'll give you, for instance, we've only been in this house for a year and a half. And a lot of you may remember, Ava's room was so cute. We had a television station come out and did a whole segment on her room. And there was this wallpaper that was llamas. It was in her bathroom. It was in her bedroom, etc. Well, a couple months ago, she starts asking to redo her room. And the practical part of me is heck to the no. We've only been here a little over a year or right at a year at this point, and you're not redoing your room. And she's wanting to get rid of the llama wallpaper. And I'm like, absolutely not. We paid somebody to put that up, and it's so cute. And it was literally a stranger on the internet. I don't know. It could have been one of you listening to this podcast who said, and I can't remember if she was a therapist or a counselor or something, but she said, Jennifer, Ava's truly trying to separate herself from Ari because Ava's no longer the baby, and she knows she can't be in competition with the baby. So in trying to separate herself, she's trying to be the big girl, which means she's wanting to redo her room to show that she's no longer a baby. She's wanting to get rid of what she feels like is babyish wallpaper in order to just as I'm the big girl now type of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, as soon as she said that to me, I was like, that makes such complete sense. And so some of those situations have been interesting for us to navigate. And so,
so what did you answered that? What do you wish you knew a year ago?
We were going to need to ask for help a lot sooner.
Yeah.
And plenty of people have said, well, let us know if we can ever watch Ari. No, here's what needs to happen. I needed to either just text them, hey, can you take Ari tonight? Or they needed to just say, how about we come pick up Ari in a little bit? Like our friend Christy, for instance, there's been 2 or 3 times when she's been like, I'm not doing anything this morning. Why don't you bring her over to play with my daughter? What kind of a ridiculous blessing has that been? I mean, it's been so nice just those couple of times when she's taken Ari for some relief. And we are forever grateful, Christy, if you're listening, for that. So people on Facebook want to know, what does the future hold in terms of Ari in our family? Love you too, son.
What does the future hold for our family?
Well, in terms of Ari and our family.
Well, like we said before, we are looking to, we're taking the steps now to fully adopt Ari instead of being legal guardians, to fully adopt Ari. So that means she would be ours, I guess, right? What does that mean? Adoption as opposed to legal guardian just means that there's legal documents saying that we're raising her, right?
Yeah. And I mean, because as a legal guardian, the truth is if her mother, because her father, who I'm related to, has given us, consent to adopt, but if her mother were to change her life in any way, get everything together, be able to show in a court that she could, take care of her, that is a possibility, which we knew going into this. We knew going into this, it is a possibility. We have no idea how long Ari will be with us. And so we made the decision up front, and we made it with the kids, with the 3 bio kids, that we refuse to half-ass this girl. Do you remember that conversation in our living room? We're either all in or we're all out on Ari. And if we're all in, then we're all in fully knowing that we don't know for how long, but we will love on her like she is one of ours every single day that she's here. So that was what we agreed to as a family. So now that we're a year in, we do have the paperwork is filed and things are being.
It's in the process.
It's all in the process of making this into a legal adoption. Will it actually go through or not? We don't know the answer to that. And so time will tell.
You might find something in your background.
What would it be? I don't even know. Last question. What would you tell anybody else, Jace, who was looking at adding to their family through adoption, through foster care, just helping their sisters, neighbors, cousins, friend with her kiddos? What would you tell them?
If they're older than speaking age, and they've already kind of set in their ways, or they've all kind of developed their.
You're talking about the child.
Yes, if they've kind of developed their own personality, it's going to take time, lots of time, for you to have them trust you, have them be actually like you. I mean, let's be honest. Whether they like you and hopefully end up one day loving you, it will just take time, and you can get frustrated, but don't take it out on them or show it to them. Mm-hmm. You can get angry. Well, yeah, I was telling somebody the other day, because it's like in our head we're thinking, Ari, do you know what we've sacrificed for you, or what we're trying to do for you? And when she has like a bad attitude or she's disrespectful, it would be easy to go, what the heck? But yeah, she's a kid. Yeah, she's a kid. And you have to look at it. You have to take your 40, 30, 20-year-old glasses off and look at it from the perspective of a 4-year-old, mm-hmm. Which I did not do in the beginning, which was hard to take, because looking back for that first couple weeks she was here, you were looking at it, I'm like, well, yeah, she's acting out because, like I said, there's a 6-foot person standing over top of her. Telling her to eat dinner, not with her hand. She came literally without using utensils. She ate. Do you remember when she ate spaghetti with her bare hands? Yes. I do. Yeah. But I also know that we also don't know what she liked. Do you like oatmeal? Do you like eggs? Do you like... We knew nothing about her. We had no idea. Yeah. And you make breakfast for your kids in the morning, and you make eggs and bacon and sausage or whatever it is. And she just goes, "Can I have cereal? Because I don't like the stuff." So time, talk to them. Mm-hmm. Don't preach at them. Don't, get on their level, eye to eye. Build trust early, because it's taken a year for us mm-hmm. us to really. I mean, I wouldn't say gel, but I mean, we gelled long ago. But I mean, every day is getting better and easier. And she talks to us now differently than she talked to us 6 months ago. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day. Next week on the podcast, I interviewed 2 women who've also brought home what we call bonus kiddos in the last year. And so I want you guys to listen to that. I talked to Rebecca Lyons and Edie Wadsworth, and it's a fantastic interview. But I was telling them in October, my best friend was diagnosed with a rare form of liver cancer. And in November, my parents picked up in an RV and decided to travel full time. And so that happened like bing, bing, bing. And I think that I was just like, what the hell's happening here? What's happening? And so after you kind of come out of that shock, and it took a good 6 to 9 months, I feel like we've gone through all of the feelings in that you would if you were somebody who was grieving. Because there really is like a death to life as you know it. And so our family won't ever go back to where we were. And we were just the 5 of us. And while we love Ari, we adore her, and we are obviously hoping that she stays with us forever. But there is almost a grieving over the fact that things have changed dramatically. And I went through all the different stages of grief, where I was bargaining with God, and then I was angry, and then I was in denial. And then you finally get to a place of acceptance. And so I think it's so important to understand that you are going to go through such a variety of emotions, as will the children, the bio kids and the new kiddos. And I think that it's just really important to not to give yourself time, to give time, and to really get the help you need, both for your emotional well-being and also just on a practical level every day. And so in the last couple of months, even, we've done some more things to get us some help around the house, so that, when the kids are home, we can focus on homework and reading books. Learning how to read. Yeah.
and those sorts of things, and not be having to, do watering the flowers and laundry and things. And so it's been quite a year, and I don't want to discourage anybody from signing up to be foster parents, or if you have a heart for adoption. Like, we knew, how many years ago did you know? We've known all along we'd have another kiddo in our family.
Yeah, we've known for a long time. We've also, when you said that you'll go through all those emotions, whether it's you go through the grieving process, you go through the 8 steps or 12 steps or
967 steps,
whatever they are. Yeah. When you said that those, you went through all those, sometimes we go through those in a day, or an hour. Yeah. It felt like, it seemed like,
what the heck have we done?
Well, but just like with any child, they have those brilliant moments of making you just want to be so happy that you smile until you, or laugh, and you videotape it, and it's hilarious.
And that's what goes on Facebook.
Yeah. I'm not on Facebook.
I know.
And then you have those ones where you want to wring their neck because they've acted like a goofball, and they've, stuffed a wad of toilet paper down the thing, and, whatever they've done. It just, you know what I mean? Yeah. So,
yeah. And the only other part I think that I wanted to bring up that we hadn't really talked about yet is one of the things that I don't think that I realized going into this, how emotionally taxing it would be the dealing with the biological family, who all still, want to see her and updates and love her. And, so that means Ari's dad's side of the family, as well as Ari's mom's side of the family. And that, that lends itself to some interesting situations as well. And so and you just don't, you don't even know about any of that stuff until you get knee deep in it. And so, but that has taken an emotional toll as well, just the navigating and trying to very gingerly and lovingly navigate hard conversations.
You do a better job on that than I do.
I do. Thank you for noticing that, Allwood. You've got lots of great skills, but that is not one of them. And so
comforting talk is not my not a strong suit.
No, I'm better at that. And so,
I don't really know what that means.
Navigating those situations with always in the back of my mind, keeping at the forefront of my mind, what did we sign on for? What did we commit to? What did we sign our name on the line for? We signed our name that we would make decisions that are in the best interest of Ari, not in the best interest of us, in the best interest of her. Mm-hmm. And so that often will mean uncomfortable situations for me or you. That often will mean, we give up time to make sure that she's got what she's needed. Yep. That means appointments that we would rather not do. It means all of those things because we're making her into the priority. And so I hope that that's helpful today. I mean, different people have asked, but how she came to be in our family, and then also, what things are like after a year. And so things are dramatically better. But they're still not easy. And I keep having to remind myself, she won't be 5 forever.
Nope, she won't be.
And she won't be in kindergarten forever.
If she exits away at 35, we're in
trouble. Yeah. Allwood, you've done a great job.
With
loving her.
Wow.
No, literally, publicly, I'd like to just, for real. And I didn't plan on doing this, but it's been incredible to watch you break down the walls that she had with you those first weeks and months, because she was not kind to you.
You mean last time when she said, back when I didn't like you?
Yes.
Those things?
Yeah. She'd never.
When you came to live with us and I said you didn't like me, and she shook her head yes.
Yeah, she didn't like you.
I didn't like you.
And now she'll pick you over me any day of the week. And now she can't wait to go do things with you.
Do you know why?
Why?
I'm the fun parent.
Yeah, I know you are. You're the FP. You're the fun parent. I'm the BP, the bad parent, also known as the one that does the disciplinarian stuff and makes them read and brush their teeth. But you are the FP, the fun parent who gives them sugar straight out of the bag for breakfast. So thanks for being here, baby.
I have never given sugar straight out of the bag. Maybe in the form of a cake.
Thanks for being a good dad.
Thanks for being a good mom.
I love you. Thanks, guys, for being here. Tune in next week. If you don't know who Edie Wadsworth is, go stalk her right now. She's Life in Grace. She has a book called All the Pretty Things, which is about her childhood. And Edie and her husband have raised 9 kids. And in the last year, they've taken in a little boy. didn't even see it coming a million miles away. It's a really interesting way that it happened. And then we also talked to Rebecca Lyons, and I don't know if you know who Rebecca is, but she is an incredible woman. Her and her husband have 3 biological children. Her oldest has Down syndrome. And in the last year, they have adopted a young girl named Joy from China who also has Down syndrome. So if you know anyone who's, has a heart for adoption, fostering children who come from hard places, kids with Down syndrome, have them tune in. Please share this podcast episode right now so that they can subscribe and get that episode sent to them next week. So thanks for being here, guys. We will plan on seeing you again next week. Until then, stay creative. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you're here and that you just listen week in and week out and that you share the Jennifer Allwood show with your friends and family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, or if you're an Android user, go download the Stitcher app and you can subscribe there so that you know every single week when a new episode releases. Also, if you have any time to leave us a review, these reviews are super important in getting guests for the show and sponsors for the show. And so we'd appreciate it if you have just a second to leave us a review. That would be amazing. Thank you guys again for being here. And until next week, stay creative.